When you saw an opportunity, you built a business around it. And every day since, you've kept a sharp eye on ways to evolve and keep your business thriving. It takes courage, creativity, and a clear perspective. At Bremer Bank, we understand that your business is the result of your hard work and ingenuity, and we're here to support you with solutions when you spot an opportunity to grow. Work with Bremer Bank, because understanding is everything.
Want your boss to put some real action behind the rhetoric when they talk about making your workplace more inclusive? Find out how to hold their feet to the fire and demand diversity on the Diversity Dude podcast.
Hello there, and welcome back to the Diversity Dude podcast. I'm your host, Lambert Fisher, marriage and family therapist, award-winning author, and national speaker on the topic of multicultural awareness and diversity. And for those of you who are interested in even more positive, encouraging tips and strategies beyond what I share in podcasts like this, then feel free to check out my award-winning book, Diversity in Clinical Practice, nationally recognized for the unique way in which it addresses the often difficult topic of multicultural awareness and diversity. Designed for more than just therapists, if you're a helping professional in any way, Diversity in Clinical Practice can help you meet the greatest variety of cultural needs possible for those whom you serve. And it's available in paper and audiobook versions for your convenience. And if you haven't heard it yet, I invite you to visit TED.com and check out my talk called What to Do When You Offend Someone, where I offer a positive and practical perspective on how to navigate unintentional offenses in daily life. To date, it's been viewed over 500,000 times. Check it out for yourself, and if you're encouraged by it as well, share it with a friend. And whether it be through my one-on-one relationship building efforts as a therapist or my informing and empowering efforts as an author and speaker, know that my personal mission is to do my part to improve the world one strengthened relationship at a time. So, today I want to share with you an encouraging perspective on celebrating diversity in everyone. Now, if you haven't already been made aware, April is Celebrate Diversity Month. I know it may seem a little odd thing to say in the midst of attacks against diversity these days, but as recent as 2004, Celebrate Diversity Month was initiated to recognize and honor diversity in this country, as well as in the world as a whole. Now, clearly, in a podcast called the Diversity Dude podcast, there are many things in which I can focus on to honor Celebrate Diversity Month. However, in an effort to provide value to the large variety of individuals watching and listening to this podcast, I'd like to help you in your efforts to celebrate diversity by offering a practical perspective which you can apply in conversations at home just as easily as you can in the workplace. Perspective number one, remember that there are many kinds of diversity. What do I mean? Well, let me ask you this. What comes to mind when you hear the word diversity? Many people, diversity mostly associated primarily with being a person of color, and secondarily, one of the many other characteristics of a person that makes them part of one of many minority groups. However, that's not what diversity means. At a basic level, diversity simply means being different, and we can all be different in a variety of ways. You can be different from someone as it relates to race or ethnicity, gender identity or sexual orientation, differences in ages or abilities. Not only that, but you can also differ as it relates to differing socioeconomic status, political affiliations, faith beliefs, educational level, geographic region, primary spoken language. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Remembering this can be beneficial because, based on this logic, celebrating diversity isn't about celebrating those people. Again, whichever racial or ethnic minority group came to mind when you heard the word diversity. But instead, celebrating diversity can truly mean celebrating the differences, or dare I say, the uniquenesses between all of us, including you. Which brings me to perspective number two. Celebrating diversity means appreciating similarities as well as differences among us all. For most people, when comparing similarities to differences, similarities are viewed as being positive and convenient, which we should thus want more of, while differences are seen as negative and inconvenient, which we should want less of. However, the more I live, and in my role as a marriage and family therapist, especially for the past 20 plus years, having seen spouses transition from frustrated that their partner doesn't share their perceived to be ideal similar traits, only to learn how beneficial it is to have a partner with different tendencies and abilities, the more they can appreciate and as well the similarities as well as the differences in their relationships. And thus, the more I can continue to appreciate similarities and differences in all relationships in all walks of life. Sure, similarities can be convenient because Less work is required to get multiple people on the same page. However, similarities are also inconvenient when it comes to something like brainstorming ways to accomplish new ideas or solve problems because everybody has the same ideas. Also, differences are understandably inconvenient when they require learning something new about someone and oneself in order to move forward together. However, those very differences can also be convenient when they lead to the sharing of unique ideas to solve problems or take the team to another level. You see, it's not about whether we can find and stick with those who are all the same and avoid those who are different. Instead, we do best when we remember that we have similarities as well as differences with everyone we encounter. The question is, what do you do with those similarities and differences? Which leads to perspective number three. Celebrating diversity requires intentional action. Celebrating diversity doesn't mean passively choosing to take a break from complaining about the inconvenience of differences. Instead, celebrating diversity means finding your own personalized way to acknowledge, in word or in action, that the world is better because of the diversity within it, not worse. Doing this in general is one thing, but doing this on a personal or individual level is even better. After all, many people experience individual hurts when they encounter people sending direct and indirect messages, conveying the feeling that their mere presence is inconvenient, so much so that they wish they didn't have to endure that kind of inconvenience. In contrast, you can make intentional efforts in your interactions with others to convey the message that not only are you not inconvenienced by the differences between you, but that you are instead convenienced by your differences and appreciate the opportunity to learn more about them more and more over time. With all this in mind, my hope for you is that you will be able to find your own way to intentionally celebrate diversity this month and beyond. Not because you're prioritizing the celebration of a particularly special minority group, but because you want to help create a world in which everyone is made to feel as though their presence, including all their similarities and differences that may bring, is less of an inconvenience and more of what makes the world a better place. The more diversity is celebrated like this, by as many people as possible, the more everyone, including you, can experience the awesome benefits that diversity has to offer. And with that, I'll say thanks again for listening to today's Diversity Do podcast. If you have any pressing diversity-related questions that you'd like me to address on an upcoming podcast, or if your organization is in need of a shame-free and empowering guest speaker or training on this often sensitive topic, then feel free to reach out to me directly at www.diversitymadesimple.com. And if you know of anyone else who can benefit from a positive and encouraging perspective on this often difficult topic of diversity, then feel free to send them a link to this podcast so they can be encouraged as well. Or share with them my award-winning book, Diversity in Clinical Practice, available at Amazon.com. Don't forget to visit TED.com and check out my talk on what to do when you offend someone. I hope it inspires you and that you share with someone else so that they can be inspired by it as well. And as usual, I look forward to addressing as many topics as possible in future podcasts to help you improve as many relationships as possible at work, at home, and in your community. And always remember this: you don't need to know everything about everyone in order to have a positive impact on someone. Thank you all for tuning in, and have a great day.
Tune in each week and find out how to demand and implement diversity at your job. To hear more, check out previous Diversity Dude shows on ShelettaMakesMeLaugh.com.
You know Sheletta makes you laugh, but did you know Sheletta Brundidge can also make you think and boost your business? Media personality, activist, and comedian Sheletta Brundidge founded Sheletta Makes Me Laugh to celebrate and share the best of Black culture. It's a podcasting platform. You can download 10 weekly podcasts hosted by African-American subject experts at ShelettaMakesMeLaugh.com or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. ShelettaMakesMeLaugh.com is also a production house, creating broadcast quality commercial content. And Sheletta and her team of storytellers create powerful promotional campaigns to get businesses the brand awareness they're looking for. Some of Minnesota's top businesses trust Sheletta, and you can too. Get out the word about your events and products and get in front of communities of color with ShelettaMakesMeLaugh.com. She's got the power to help your business.
What's up, everyone? It's Sheletta. I I'm here getting a phone for one of my newly minted teenagers with Xfinity Mobile. They've got great options, affordable plans, and solid coverage that works for our whole family. With Xfinity Mobile, my daughter can stay connected with me wherever she goes. And did you know when you sign up, you can get an extra phone line free for a full year? Switch to Xfinity Mobile today for more savings, more smiles, and more ways to stay connected.